Yesterday, the Daily Caller published an op-ed written by Donald Trump's attorney, Rudy Giuliani, where Giuliani essentially begged the United States Supreme Court to step in and rule that impeachment is actually unconstitutional. Rudy Giuliani, guy that went to law school, passed the bar, has actually tried cases, has prosecuted people, wants the highest court in the country to rule that part of the Constitution is in fact unconstitutional somehow. Here's a little snippet from Giuliani's little op-ed. House Democrats have put our constitutional government in grave danger by attempting to rewrite the carefully collaborated separation of powers under our Constitution and usurping powers not granted to the House. What powers might those be, Rudy? Because the Constitution explicitly says Congress has the authority to do that. Not the Senate. The Senate has the authority to do the trial. But Congress has the authority to conduct an impeachment inquiry. And they can conduct it based on the way the Constitution was written, and it was written this way because of this. They can conduct it any way they want. They have the power to issue subpoenas. They have the power to go through documents. They have the power to call witnesses. And they have the power to vote on whether or not to impeach the President of the United States. So your little argument here in this Daily Caller op-ed has no basis in the law itself. It's gibberish. It's mumbo jumbo. It's what a ninth grader would write if they'd never taken a civics course, and if they knew nothing about the government, and if they didn't speak English. That's the kind of drivel you would get from this person. But Rudy goes on. And what he goes on to say is technically an admission that the president broke the law. Abuse of power and obstruction of Congress are not crimes of any kind, high or low. So, the two things that Trump has been impeached for, abuse of power, which was trying to extort Ukraine, withholding the military aid in order for him to gain politically from it, and his obstruction of Congress, refusing to allow people from the administration to go in and testify even though they'd been subpoenaed. Those aren't crimes, Giuliani says. They're not crimes. Totally not crimes. Which is also an admission that, yeah, I mean, he did them, but it's not illegal. You know, doesn't that sound familiar? Isn't that from the Nixon years? Like, it's not illegal when the president does it. And Giuliani, the worst attorney to ever live in the United States. I'm no longer saying he's the worst one alive. He's the worst one ever. There has never been an attorney in this country worse than Rudy Giuliani. I know Michael Avenatti is trying to get that title, but he's not there yet. Giuliani is the dumbest and worst attorney I have ever seen. And I have actually had to study attorneys in the United States. I've had to write biographies for quite literally almost 100 different attorneys. And Giuliani is absolutely the worst. Because he admits once again that the president did this thing. He did it. But it's totally not a crime. And you, Supreme Court, need to look at this Constitution and say, yes, it says that Congress can do this, but we're going to strike it down? Giuliani should be disbarred based on this op-ed alone, because not only does he not know how the law works, he doesn't know what's in the Constitution, but he once again further implicates his client, Donald J. Trump, in further criminal activity. So yeah, you should be disbarred just based on the contents of this op-ed that the Daily Caller published. But you won't be. But your horribleness as an attorney is also likely why Donald Trump is trying to move away from you a little bit as this Senate trial comes closer. Thanks for watching, everybody. And don't forget, if you like what you see here, like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. And now you can also become a member of Ring of Fire and get exclusive early access to certain Ring of Fire videos all throughout the week. Just click on the little join button right below the video.